Hey guys. Okay, so I took 7 months to look at the analytics on my second site. And I did that because the agonizing process of waiting for traffic to come onto the website was very difficult for me with my first site. Now, when I opened the analytics, I was really surprised at the difference that I saw between Google Analytics and big data analytics. Now, big data analytics is Ezoic's analytics that's built into their platform. So I'm going to compare Ezoic versus Google Analytics from month 6 of my second site. I think this is important because analytics, like everything else in blogging, is a learning curve. And this is something that I think can make the learning curve a little bit easier. If you're curious about the thumbnail, I will explain that in the video. So I'm going to compare 4 things that I think are important when we look at analytics. I want to say right now, I'm probably going to mess this video up. Like some of you who are Google Analytics pros are going to say, Sabina, you don't understand. This is here and this is there, and you can do this with Google Analytics. I have pretty much the same amount of experience with big data analytics and with Google Analytics. And this is what I know and what I have learned through using both platforms. Okay. So I'm going to look at page views, top pages, earnings, and trends over time. So these are the things that I look at when I'm looking at my analytics. I want to know my page views. I want to know which pages are bringing in the page views. I want to know how much money I'm making, and I want to be able to see the trends that can inform my future business decisions for the site. So I have some screenshots in here, and I have just some notes here to talk about these things. Okay, so let's start with the page views. Most of you are familiar with this. This is a screenshot of Google Analytics, and this is the page views. So you can see it gives you a little graph. It tells you the percent that it's up or down. I know some of you have been watching those numbers lately, and there's always one that's red. It doesn't matter. There's always one that's red. So you can change the dates here. It is much, much easier to change the dates to create custom reports in big data analytics, but you can do it in Google Analytics as well. So this is what the graph looks like for page views in big data. And I just want to say that this graph is very clean. If you scroll down, there's more information about which pages the traffic is coming from. And also, and a little bit later in the next slides, I'm going to show you some other information that it shows that's super helpful. The thing that I like about big data, and this is going to come up a lot, but it is made by publishers. And so the things that pop up first are the things that we're looking for. So when you go in, it's going to talk about your pages and your page revenue. I don't want to get ahead of myself too much. Okay. When you go into Google Analytics, and I swear to you, this box was not populated a couple months ago when this was a 6-month-old site. It is difficult with a baby site to find this information on Google Analytics. But now that this site was started in October of 2021, and this is the information that it gives me from the 6 months. It tells me the page views. It tells me under this blurry box is the titles of the pages, and this is how many page views they got. Let me just say about myself, the split of page views on site 2 is so much better than site 1. My content is much more balanced on that site. It also gives me this information, which I don't know what it means, but it tells you the event name. So if you're more familiar with Google Analytics, I'm sure these can mean more things to you. It tells you kind of some things that happened on your site. When I go to big data, my favorite thing about this is it tells me the percentage of the total that each page brought in. So under here is the URLs. And then over here, it tells me how many visits, how many page views, and the percentage of the total. It also tells me how many page views per visit. Now, the thing about big data is pretty much everything you want to see is on one page. For me, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff, and I should probably look at other things. And please tell me all the other things I should look at. And if you want to talk to me about how to use my analytics better, I am open to hearing it. But right now, I like this. I like how it tells me this, and I like how it has let me see that my content spread is much more even on site 2. All right, earnings. This to me is the big thing about analytics, and this might sound really silly because it's kind of obvious, but when you go to Ezoic and you put ads on your site, you're making money. So when you sign into Ezoic, it tells you about the money that you're making. Now, Google, if I had other things set up with Google Analytics, or if I was an e-commerce store, or if I had landing pages and funnels that were all being tracked by Google Analytics, then maybe this would tell me some stuff. But as a basic blogger who's trying to earn money as passively as possible through ads, this ain't doing nothing for me. This does not tell me anything. Now, maybe if I was running AdSense, it would tell me this, but I am not. And so I don't know. Google doesn't tell me anything about how much money I've earned compared to Ezoic. This is big data. The thing that I appreciate is as soon as I click on the analytics button in my Ezoic dashboard, it brings me to my revenue page. They know what I want to know because Ezoic is designed for publishers. It's designed for those of us who are trying to earn money this way online. So I appreciate that. I can look at this graph. It can talk to me about my earnings, which is not always perfectly consistent with page views. So trends. Now this is probably the worst screenshot, but this is a Google Analytics screenshot that tells me where my traffic is coming from. As a baby blogger, I learned from Below Average Blogger about using Google Search Console, which I'm still having trouble connecting Google Search Console with this site, so I don't have screenshots from there. But using Google Search Console to kind of celebrate some of the early wins that you have in the very beginning of blogging. And this is a trend that you could track that would be helpful to you, is just the amount of your search that is coming from organic versus coming from direct. And this is something you could monitor if you're trying to send social media traffic, if you're sending Google search traffic, or if you are doing some direct site kind of promotions. This is something that you can track in trends. There are some other things that you can look at in Google, but I don't understand them. I don't know the plan. I don't know how to use it. And like I said, I have had the same amount of experience with Google Analytics as I have with big data analytics, right? So even if I'm getting a lot of things wrong, as a new person entering the world of like digital marketing, affiliate marketing, this is how much I have learned using both platforms, okay? So please forgive me if it's not everything that is available in these platforms, but it is what I have found and what I have used. On the other hand, I didn't do screenshots because it wasn't important, but in big data analytics, you have the option to look at a report about your pages that are without revenue. That can help you either keep track of pages where you're not displaying ads, or it can let you know if there's a problem in a page isn't displaying ads. Your revenue by author, which is important for me on site too. Now mine is not working correctly right now, which I don't know why, because I have author profiles set up in WordPress. But I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point. I have had a writer on site too since the beginning, and it would be very good for me to know what percentage of our revenue is coming from articles written by that author. And it would just be helpful to inform business decisions about the site going forward when I can sort my content by author and see how things are earning. We know that like the keyword research and all those kinds of things really impact how much an article can earn, but it would be a good metric for me to track to know how much revenue is coming in based on the content that we have purchased. Content age, I thought, was really interesting for Project 24 people because we do a challenge twice a year called the Content Warrior Challenge, where you try to publish a large amount of content within 30 days. So with the report like Content Age on Ezoic, you could look at the revenue from content that you pushed out during a Content Warrior Challenge. You can look at your content that you published during a certain time and see the performance of those pages. I thought that was helpful when you're doing the kind of work that we're doing and we talk about our content numbers. You can use the Content Age report to really look at the performance of your site in different kind of eras of your business. I know that if I looked at the on my big site, the articles published in the first 3 months before I was in any blogging courses, yeah, it doesn't perform well. Visit depth I find really helpful, and that tells me where people are clicking next and how my interlinking is doing. It helps me understand the visitors to my website, and it is something that I like to grow. And so it's a great metric to be able to easily track. The experiments report I thought just illustrated really well. If you want to try different things on your website, big data analytics is set up for you to be able to track kind of A/B testing and different kinds of things you want to do. I haven't tried experiments because, y'all, I am swimming in the kiddie pool when we talk about blogging, but I just thought it illustrated how this is set up to be a platform that publishers can use to increase their revenue. Because when their revenue increases, Ezoic's revenue increases. So that is the bottom line about big data, is that it's built for publishers. Um, so for me, Google Analytics, the blank boxes drive me crazy on a baby site. There's so much like, oh, we'll have more data soon, or we'll have this soon. No, Ezoic has every box populated when you go to look. Also, there's a lot of e-commerce functionality that's kind of like distracting and frustrating within Google Analytics for me, because it's just stuff that's irrelevant and it's on all the main pages. So as soon as I come in, there's a lot of boxes to just ignore. Whereas big data analytics brings me right to what I care about, which is revenue and page performance. I also have support, because when you go into Ezoic, you have to go through Access Now. See my previous video about how much easier it is to go through Access Now. But you go through Access Now, and so they give you some information about how to use big data before you use it, which is like really helpful. And you can, go to YouTube and watch some videos about Google Analytics. But y'all, right now with the Universal and the GA4, and it's hard to find someone who really knows what they're talking about. Even if you do, it's just, there's lots of just not for us. I love Jason Whaling on YouTube. I think he's amazing, but he's not doing what I'm doing. And his tutorials are amazing, but he's not doing what I'm doing. So a lot of the stuff that matters to him doesn't matter to me. Big data, those are people who are doing what I'm doing. So the tools are designed to help me do what I do. All the boxes are populated. Everything works. I will say you do get a lot of this, right? I did find the hack that if I open my reports in a new tab, they tend to populate faster. But you do sometimes have to wait quite a bit for the reports to load. Speaking of waiting for quite a bit, things have been nuts. Y'all know. I am now full-time working on my sites and full-time raising my children. And in the midst of all of that, we did find out that there will be another baby at our house. So later this year, we will be navigating blogging with a newborn again. I imagine I'll be returning to biphasic sleep, and I'm hoping to have a plan by then. My big plan before number 5 arrives is to hit a 4-digit month, right? I hope to break $1,000. So keep in mind, any questions about any of that, go ahead and comment. I will leave an affiliate link for Access Now in the description. This is a sponsored video. Ezoic reached out and asked me to share some of my experience as a new publisher with Ezoic, and it has been overwhelmingly positive. Any questions, I'd love to answer them. Have a great day.